Joining me today is Marcy Block. She's the Senior Director over at Fitch's U.S. Public Finance Group. Marcy, great to have you. You're the lead analyst over at New Jersey's. We know New Jersey's been hit pretty hard by tax reform, that SALT deduction cap. The state's been working on some workarounds, particularly deductions to municipal charitable organizations, for example. From your credit analysis, how much of an impact is that to residents, and does the IRS even allow it at this point?
Hi, Taylor. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, that going down the path of allowing the charitable deductions for municipal services, that's just one path that the state is pursuing to try to help out its residents that are potentially dealing with a higher federal tax burden because of the tax reform that took place in 2017. I'm sure you're aware that New Jersey, like New York and Connecticut, is one of the higher taxing states. So putting that SALT deduction cap at $10,000, whereas before it was unlimited, could place a higher burden on the residents that are in the state. And in turn, what that does is it could possibly constrain the amount of taxation that the state and the local governments are willing to place on those residents when it's seeking to fund its higher services. One of the things you asked about was budget constraints. New Jersey has many budget constraints. They are not fully paying on their pensions. They have a lot of infrastructure needs, even just for transit, which always seems to be in the news. So if they're not able to go down the route of allowing this charitable deduction, then they're going to have to look at other areas to potentially right-size that budget.
You know, we're wrapping up budget season. I wonder sort of what other budget constraints New Jersey is facing as we head into the fiscal year 2020, what it means for some of their state pressures and also pressure on some of the local cities.
Sure. I think as I mentioned, as you're looking ahead to fiscal 2020, the legislature seems very concerned about what has happened with federal tax reform. And whereas in previous years, they might have been willing to raise taxes to fund some of these increases in services, they now appear somewhat unwilling to do that. The budget negotiations for fiscal 2019 were very contentious, even though everyone is in the same party this time around. So I think as you're looking at 2020, there's a lot of concern about raising taxes on the legislature side. I would say the governor is concerned as well, but meanwhile, there's still particular programs that he's interested in expanding, such as more free access to community colleges. So I think that all of that is going to have to be balanced out as they're looking ahead to 2020. And I think the budget season could again be very contentious for them.